The diplomatic chamber aboard the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Dominion hummed with the low-frequency vibrations that all Zephyrian technology produced. The walls, made of what humans called living metal, shifted colors from deep purple to silver as the massive ship's AI monitored every conversation, every gesture, every breath taken by the 3 human representatives sitting across from the Zephyrian High Council. William Chen, humanity's chief military attaché, kept his expression carefully neutral as he watched the 7-foot-tall Zephyrian counselors deliberate in their clicking, whistling language. Their elongated skulls bobbed as they spoke, their forearms gesturing in complex patterns that conveyed meaning beyond mere words. The universal translator implanted behind his left ear provided a constant stream of their discussion, but William had learned enough Zephyrian over the past 6 months to catch the nuances the translator missed. They were not impressed with humanity. Beside him, Kate Morrison shifted slightly in her seat. As humanity's chief scientific advisor, she had spent weeks preparing detailed presentations about human technological capabilities, medical advances, and theoretical physics contributions. Her tablet displayed holographic models of human innovations that had taken centuries to develop. None of it seemed to matter to the Zephyrians. On William's other side, Camilla Vasquez, the diplomatic corps commander, maintained the perfect posture that had made her legendary among human negotiators. Her dark eyes never left the lead counselor, a massive Zephyrian whose carapace bore the scars of what humans assumed were ancient battles. Counselor Thexnara had made it clear from the beginning that he viewed humanity as a curious but ultimately insignificant species. The clicking grew louder, and William's translator began working overtime. The Zephyrians were discussing humanity's trial period in the Galactic Confederation. For 3 years, humans had been provisional members, allowed to observe council proceedings but forbidden from voting or proposing legislation. Today's session would determine whether humanity earned full membership or faced expulsion from the galactic community entirely. The humans demonstrate adequate spacefaring capability, Thexnara's deep voice rumbled through the chamber as he switched to the common galactic language. Their vessels, while primitive, function adequately for short-range transportation. Their weapons systems show competent design principles, though they lack the refinement of established species. William's jaw tightened. Human starships had revolutionized interstellar travel with their unique fusion antimatter hybrid drives, achieving speeds that impressed even the ancient Altarians. Human tactical doctrine had proven itself in 3 separate conflicts with pirate fleets, earning grudging respect from warrior species like the Korthak. But, to the Zephyrians, humanity remained a curiosity. Kate leaned forward slightly, her scientist's mind unable to remain silent. Counselor Thexnara, if I may address the technological assessment. Human innovation in quantum field manipulation has produced results that several council species have requested access to. Our medical techniques have extended lifespans for 14 different species, including improvements to Zephyrian cellular regeneration protocols. The translator clicked rapidly as several counselors exchanged rapid comments. William caught fragments about presumptuous newcomers and typical human arrogance. His hands remained steady on the table, but his mind raced through contingency plans. If this negotiation failed, humanity would lose access to galactic trade routes, advanced technologies, and protection under Confederation law. 3 billion humans on frontier worlds would become targets for any species with expansionist ambitions. Thexnara raised one of his 4 hands, and the chamber fell silent. The human scientist speaks of contributions, yet she demonstrates the fundamental flaw we observe in your species. You assume that innovation equals significance. You believe that because you have created useful tools, you deserve equality among species that have maintained galactic civilization for millennia. Camilla's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Counselor, humanity requests evaluation based on merit, not ancestry. We understand that the Zephyrian Empire spans 4,000 years of recorded history. We respect the wisdom that comes with such experience. However, we believe that a species' value to the Confederation should be measured by what they contribute to the common good, not by how long they have existed. The lead counselor's 4 eyes focused on Camilla with an intensity that would have terrified most beings. Zephyrians could see across multiple light spectrums simultaneously, reading biological indicators that revealed emotional states, stress levels, and even deception. Camilla met his gaze without flinching. You speak of merit, Thexnara said slowly. Yet what merit can a species barely 3 centuries old in space demonstrate? Your people have existed in this galaxy for less time than it takes our offspring to reach maturity. You have fought in minor skirmishes and solved problems that we mastered before your sun formed. How do you propose to prove merit equal to species who have shaped galactic civilization? William felt the moment shifting. This was not going to be a diplomatic victory through presentations and logical arguments. The Zephyrians were challenging humanity to prove itself through action, not words. He exchanged a quick glance with Kate, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. She understood too. "Counselor," William said, his voice carrying the authority that had commanded human fleets through impossible odds. "You speak of merit through action. We accept that challenge. However, we request the opportunity to demonstrate human capabilities under conditions that truly test our worth." The chamber's lighting shifted as the ship's AI registered elevated stress levels among all occupants. Thexnara's mandibles clicked in what William had learned was either amusement or mild interest. "You request a trial of capability? Interesting. What manner of trial would you consider adequate to prove human merit?" Kate activated her tablet, projecting a holographic star map into the center of the chamber. Red markers indicated several locations along the galactic rim, areas where pirate fleets and rogue military forces operated beyond Confederation law. "The Kethmori Nebula," Kate said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was proposing. "Intelligence reports indicate that at least 3 different hostile fleets are using the nebula as a staging ground for raids against Confederation shipping. The Council has been unable to coordinate an effective response due to the complex political considerations involved." Thexnara leaned forward, his massive form casting shadows across the hologram. "You propose to address a situation that has challenged the Confederation for 18 months? A situation involving enemies who have proven capable of destroying cruiser-class vessels from multiple species?" William stood, his movement drawing attention from every counselor. "Counselor, humanity requests permission to address the Kethmori situation using our own resources and methods. If we succeed in eliminating the threat and restoring security to Confederation shipping lanes, we ask that you consider this demonstration of our worth." The silence stretched for long seconds. Camilla remained motionless, her expression revealing nothing of the calculations running through her mind. Kate's fingers moved across her tablet, calling up detailed intelligence reports about the nebula and its dangers. "And if you fail?" another counselor asked, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones characteristic of female Zephyrians. "If your ships are destroyed and your crews killed, what then?" Camilla finally spoke, her words measured and precise. "Then, humanity will have demonstrated that we are not yet ready for full Confederation membership. We will accept whatever consequences the Council deems appropriate." William felt sweat gathering between his shoulder blades, despite the chamber's climate control. What they were proposing bordered on insanity. The Kethmori Nebula contained natural phenomena that disrupted conventional sensors and communications. The enemy fleets operating within it had proven adaptable and tactically sophisticated. Multiple Confederation task forces had attempted to clear the area, only to suffer significant casualties while achieving minimal results. But he also knew that this was humanity's chance. Not just to prove themselves to the Zephyrians, but to demonstrate the qualities that made humans unique in the galaxy. Human adaptability, creativity under pressure, and willingness to accept seemingly impossible odds had carried the species through conflicts that should have destroyed them. Thexnara exchanged rapid clicks with his fellow counselors. The universal translators struggled with their accelerated speech, providing only fragments about unusual proposal and potential precedent. Finally, the lead counselor raised all 4 hands, and the chamber fell silent once more. "The Council will consider your proposal," Thexnara announced. "You will remain aboard this vessel while we deliberate. If we agree to your trial, you will have 72 standard hours to depart and complete your mission. Success will earn humanity full consideration for Confederation membership. Failure will result in immediate expulsion and permanent exclusion from galactic affairs." As the Zephyrian counselors filed out of the chamber, William felt the weight of 3 billion human lives settling on his shoulders. Kate began organizing her data files, preparing contingency plans for every scenario she could imagine. Camilla sat motionless, her mind already working through the implications of what they had just committed to. The chamber's lighting dimmed as the ship's AI adjusted for what it calculated would be a long wait. Outside the massive viewports, stars wheeled slowly as the flagship maintained its position at the edge of Confederation space. Somewhere in that darkness, humanity's future hung in the balance. William activated his personal communicator, establishing an encrypted link to the human fleet waiting just outside sensor range. Admiral Sarah Chan's voice crackled through the connection, made fuzzy by the distance and the Zephyrian ship's interference. "William, what's the situation?" He looked at his two companions, seeing his own determination reflected in their faces. "Admiral, prepare the fleet for immediate departure to the Kethmori Nebula. We just volunteered humanity for the trial of our lives." The silence that followed his transmission stretched for several seconds before Admiral Chen's voice returned, steady and professional. "Understood. All ships report ready for departure. William, the entire Confederation is going to be watching this one." As William closed the connection, he realized that the next few days would determine not just humanity's place in galactic civilization, but whether the species would survive long enough to find another path forward. The Zephyrians had given them exactly what they asked for, a chance to prove human worth through action. Now they had to deliver on that promise, or face extinction in the depths of space. The human fleet hung motionless in space, 47 ships arranged in a formation that would have been incomprehensible to most galactic military observers. Instead of the rigid battle lines favored by Confederation forces, Admiral Sarah Chen had positioned her vessels in clusters that could break apart and reform based on tactical requirements. Each cluster contained a mix of ship classes: heavy cruisers for firepower, destroyers for speed and maneuverability, and support vessels carrying the specialized equipment that human engineers had developed for unconventional warfare. Aboard the flagship Determination, Admiral Chen studied the holographic display showing the Kethmori Nebula. The massive cloud of ionized gas and stellar debris stretched across 12 light-years, its interior hidden from conventional sensors by the same electromagnetic phenomena that made it perfect cover for pirate operations. 3 separate enemy fleets had been confirmed operating within the nebula, each one responsible for dozens of attacks on Confederation shipping over the past 18 months. "Admiral," Commander Park announced from the communications station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship. The Council has reached their decision." Chen nodded, her expression revealing nothing of the tension that had been building for the past 6 hours. Around the bridge, her officers maintained their positions with the professional calm that came from years of facing impossible odds together. They knew what this mission meant for humanity, but they also knew that dwelling on the stakes would only compromise their performance. The main view screen activated, showing Fex Nara's imposing form in the Zephyrian Council chamber. Behind him, William, Kate, and Camilla stood with the rigid posture of people awaiting judgment. "Admiral Chen," Fex Nara's voice carried the formal tones reserved for official pronouncements. "The Council has agreed to humanity's proposed trial. You have 72 standard hours to eliminate the threat in the Kethmori Nebula and restore security to Confederation shipping lanes. Success will earn your species full consideration for membership. Failure will result in humanity's permanent expulsion from galactic affairs." Chen stepped forward, her hands clasped behind her back. "Understood, Counselor. The human fleet accepts these terms. One additional condition," Fex Nara continued. "Your diplomatic representatives will remain aboard Confederation vessels to observe the mission's progress. This will ensure accurate reporting of human methods and results." The transmission ended, and Chen felt the familiar weight of command settling around her shoulders. She had led human forces through 3 major conflicts and dozens of smaller engagements, but nothing had prepared her for the magnitude of this challenge. Not just the tactical difficulties of fighting in an environment that neutralized most advanced sensor systems, but the knowledge that every decision she made would determine humanity's future in the galaxy. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her operations officer announced. "Engineering teams have completed modifications to our sensor arrays based on Dr. Morrison's research. The new configuration should give us limited visibility within the nebula's electromagnetic fields." Chen activated the fleet communication system, her voice carrying to every ship under her command. "All vessels, this is Admiral Chen. In 30 minutes, we will enter the Kethmori Nebula to engage hostile forces that have proven capable of destroying Confederation cruisers. Our mission is not just to eliminate these threats, but to demonstrate humanity's worth as members of the galactic community." She paused, looking around the bridge at officers who had served with her through humanity's rise from a single-system species to interstellar power. They understood what made human tactics different from Confederation doctrine: the willingness to adapt, improvise, and accept risks that other species considered unacceptable. "We face enemies who know this territory better than we do, who have had months to prepare defensive positions, and who have already proven their capability against Confederation forces. However, they have never faced human determination or human ingenuity. We will show them what those qualities mean in practice. The fleet began moving, 47 ships accelerating toward the nebula's outer boundary in a formation that constantly shifted and adjusted as conditions changed. Human tactical doctrine emphasized flexibility over rigid adherence to predetermined plans, a philosophy that had proven effective against enemies who expected predictable Confederation responses. Lieutenant Commander Torres, Chen's tactical advisor, pulled up intelligence reports about the enemy forces. "Admiral, we have confirmation of at least 3 separate fleets operating in the nebula. The largest appears to be commanded by someone calling themselves Admiral Kethvar, probably a rogue Korthak officer based on ship configurations and tactics. Intelligence estimates 40 to 50 vessels, including several heavy cruisers." Chen studied the data, noting the gaps where conventional reconnaissance had failed to penetrate the nebula's interference. "What about the other 2 fleets?" "Less certain, Admiral. One appears to be primarily Zelanian pirates, fast attack craft with enhanced stealth capabilities. The third is unknown, possibly a mercenary group or another rogue military unit. Total enemy strength estimated at 100 to 120 vessels." The odds were not encouraging. Human forces were outnumbered more than 2 to 1, operating in unfamiliar territory against enemies who had chosen their ground carefully. But Chen had learned during humanity's expansion into space that numbers often mattered less than tactics, coordination, and the willingness to do what enemies considered impossible. "Engineering," she called to the chief engineer's station. "Report on our special modifications." Chief Engineer Robinson turned from his console, his expression mixing confidence with professional caution. "All ships have been fitted with the new adaptive sensor suites. We can't match normal space resolution, but we should be able to track movement and energy signatures within a limited range. The real innovation is the distributed network protocol Dr. Morrison developed." Chen nodded. Kate's breakthrough had been to realize that while individual ships would be partially blinded by the nebula's interference, a coordinated network of sensors could share data to create a composite picture. It was a typically human solution, using cooperation and information sharing to overcome individual limitations. "Admiral," the navigation officer announced, "we're approaching the nebula's outer boundary. Sensors are detecting the first interference effects." The main viewscreen showed the Kethmori Nebula growing larger as the fleet approached. What had appeared as a distant cloud now resolved into swirling currents of luminous gas punctuated by the darker shapes of debris fields. The nebula's beauty disguised its danger. The same electromagnetic phenomena that created the stunning visual displays would make navigation treacherous and communication difficult. "All ships, reduce to half speed and activate modified sensor configurations," Chen ordered. "Maintain formation integrity, but be prepared for immediate tactical dispersal if we encounter hostile forces." The first effects hit as the lead ships crossed into the nebula's outer edge. Communication signals became intermittent, filled with static and electromagnetic interference. Sensor displays flickered as the equipment struggled to compensate for the changing conditions. On ships throughout the fleet, human crews worked to adapt their systems in real time, making adjustments that Confederation forces would have considered too risky to attempt. "Admiral," Torres reported, "we're getting fragmentary contacts on the enhanced sensors. Multiple energy signatures, approximately 15 light-minutes deeper into the nebula. Configurations suggest they're aware of our approach." Chen felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that preceded combat. The enemy had detected their arrival, which meant the element of surprise was gone. Now the mission would depend on human ability to outthink and outmaneuver opponents who had every natural advantage. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "Execute Protocol 7. All ships prepare for immediate combat operations." Protocol 7 was a human innovation that had proven devastating against enemies who expected Confederation battle tactics. Instead of advancing in traditional formation, the human fleet would split into multiple groups that could operate independently while maintaining data links through Kate's distributed sensor network. Each group would probe different areas of the nebula, forcing the enemy to divide their attention while gathering intelligence about hostile positions and capabilities. The 47 ships of the human fleet began separating into predetermined clusters, each one following a different vector into the nebula's depths. Chen's command group, consisting of 12 ships including the flagship Determination, took the central route toward the largest concentration of enemy signals. "Admiral," the communications officer announced, "we're receiving a transmission from the enemy fleet. They're using standard Confederation frequencies." The main viewscreen flickered, then, resolved into the image of a Korthak warrior whose scarred face and elaborately decorated armor marked him as a veteran of many battles. His forearms gestured as he spoke, displaying the ritual weapons that Korthak officers carried as symbols of their rank. "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Free Fleet," the Korthak announced, his voice carrying the harmonic undertones that indicated controlled aggression. "You have entered our territory without permission. Withdraw immediately, or face destruction." Chen stepped forward, her expression calm despite the magnitude of what was beginning. "Admiral Kethvar, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Confederation Fleet. You and your allies have been attacking Confederation shipping in violation of galactic law. Surrender now, and we will escort your forces to Confederation space for proper legal proceedings." Kethvar's mandibles clicked in what Chen recognized as Korthak laughter. "Humans. I have heard of your species. Young, aggressive, believing that courage can overcome experience. You bring fewer than 50 ships against my alliance of over 100 vessels. In our territory, using our tactics. This will be an instructive demonstration of why new species should show proper respect to their betters." The transmission ended, and Chen felt the familiar calm that came with the transition from diplomacy to warfare. The enemy commander was exactly what she had hoped for, confident, experienced, and completely convinced of his own superiority. That kind of certainty often led to tactical mistakes when opponents behaved in unexpected ways. "All ships," she announced to the fleet, "the enemy has rejected our offer of surrender. Commence Operation Whirlwind. Show them what human determination looks like." The scattered human forces began their coordinated assault, moving through the nebula's swirling currents with an unpredictability that would soon test every assumption the enemy held about Confederation tactics. The first engagement erupted 12 minutes after Admiral Chen's fleet entered the nebula's depths. Commander Martinez's strike group, consisting of 6 destroyers and 2 cruisers, encountered a patrol formation of Korthak raiders near a debris field that had once been a Confederation freight hauler. The pirates had been stripping valuable materials from the wreckage when human ships emerged from the swirling gas clouds like ghosts materializing from nightmares. Aboard the destroyer Relentless, Martinez watched his tactical display update as the modified sensor network began painting a picture of enemy positions. The Korthak ships were configured exactly as intelligence had predicted: heavy armor, powerful weapons, and the kind of aggressive maneuvering that had made the warrior species feared throughout the galaxy. What the Korthaks didn't expect was human tactical flexibility. "All ships, execute Gamma formation," Martinez commanded. "Target priority is disruption, not destruction. We need them confused, not eliminated." The human ships scattered in patterns that would have horrified Confederation tacticians. Instead of maintaining formation integrity, each vessel began following independent vectors that took advantage of the nebula's natural phenomena. The destroyer Phantom used a dense gas cloud to mask its approach, while the cruiser Defiance positioned itself near an electromagnetic anomaly that would disrupt enemy targeting systems. The Korthak response followed predictable patterns. Their ships moved to intercept what they perceived as scattered, disorganized human forces. Admiral Kethvar's voice crackled through intercepted communications, barking orders in the guttural Korthak language that emphasized aggressive pursuit and overwhelming firepower. What the Korthaks didn't realize was that the seemingly chaotic human movements were actually part of a coordinated plan that used the nebula's interference as a tactical advantage. Each human ship was broadcasting false sensor signatures while sharing real positional data through Kate Morrison's quantum encrypted network. The result was that human forces could coordinate their actions while appearing completely disorganized to enemy observers. "Contact," the Relentless S sensor officer announced. 3 Korthak raiders, bearing 27 Mark IV. They're moving to intercept the Phantom. Martinez smiled grimly. The enemy was taking the bait exactly as planned. Signal the Defiance. Execute flanking maneuver 7. The human cruiser emerged from its concealment near the electromagnetic anomaly, its weapons fully charged and targeting systems locked onto the Korthak raiders. The alien ships found themselves caught between multiple human vessels, their formations scattered as they tried to respond to threats appearing from unexpected directions. The engagement lasted 90 seconds. Human ships used the nebula's natural phenomena to appear and disappear like phantoms, striking at enemy vessels before vanishing back into the gas clouds. The Korthak raiders, trained for direct confrontation in open space, struggled to adapt to three-dimensional warfare where conventional tactics provided no advantage. 2 of the 3 enemy ships were disabled by precise strikes to their propulsion systems. The third managed to escape, but only after broadcasting detailed information about the encounter to Admiral Kethvar's command ship. Martinez knew that was exactly what they wanted: confused reports about human capabilities that would force the enemy to reconsider their tactical assumptions. 40 light minutes away, Admiral Chan received Martinez's report while monitoring similar engagements throughout the nebula. Human strike groups were making contact with enemy forces across a front that stretched several light-years, each encounter designed to gather intelligence while demonstrating capabilities that Confederation forces had never displayed. Admiral, Torres announced from his tactical station, were receiving status reports from all strike groups. 7 successful contacts so far, enemy casualties minimal but tactical disruption significant. The distributed sensor network is providing excellent coordination capability. Chen nodded, studying the emerging pattern of enemy movements. Admiral Kethvar was reacting exactly as human psychologists had predicted. The Korthak commander was consolidating his forces for a massive counterstrike, convinced that superior numbers and firepower would overwhelm what he perceived as scattered human raiders. Signal all groups, Chen ordered. Phase 2 is authorized. Begin convergence on primary target area. The seemingly random human attacks had been carefully designed to drive enemy forces toward a region of the nebula where natural phenomena would provide maximum advantage to forces equipped with Kate's sensor modifications. Chen's tactical staff had identified an area where multiple electromagnetic storms created a maze of sensor shadows and communication dead zones. For conventional forces, the region was nearly impassable. For human ships equipped with adaptive sensors and quantum-encrypted coordination systems, it would become a killing ground. Meanwhile, aboard the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Dominion, William Chen watched holographic displays showing the developing battle. The Zephyrian observers had access to long-range sensors that could penetrate the nebula's outer layers, providing them with a perspective that neither human nor pirate forces possessed. Thexnara studied the tactical displays with the intensity of a professional warrior evaluating combat techniques he had never encountered. "Your admiral employs unusual methods," he observed, his forearms gesturing at the scattered patterns of human ship movements. "Confederation doctrine emphasizes formation integrity and coordinated advance. Your forces appear to be operating without central control." William maintained his diplomatic composure while his mind raced through the implications of what he was seeing. Sarah was implementing tactics that pushed human technological capabilities to their absolute limits. The distributed coordination system that Kate had developed was allowing individual ship commanders to make autonomous decisions while maintaining overall strategic coherence. "Admiral Chen is demonstrating human tactical philosophy," William explained carefully. "We believe that rigid adherence to predetermined plans often fails when facing adaptive opponents. Human commanders are trained to improvise and adjust their methods based on changing conditions." Kate stepped forward, her scientist's enthusiasm overriding diplomatic caution. "The key innovation is the quantum-encrypted sensor network. Each ship is simultaneously an independent operator and part of a coordinated whole. It's analogous to how human brain neurons function, individual cells making autonomous decisions while contributing to overall consciousness." Thexnara's massive head turned toward Kate, his four eyes focusing on her with predatory intensity. "You compare your military tactics to biological processes. Interesting. Do you believe this approach provides advantages over conventional Confederation methods?" "Under these specific conditions, yes," Kate replied. "The nebula's electromagnetic interference neutralizes the sensor and communication advantages that usually favor large, coordinated fleets. Our approach allows smaller units to operate effectively while sharing information that conventional forces cannot access." Camilla remained silent, her diplomatic instincts warning her that this conversation was being carefully evaluated. The Zephyrians were not just observing human military capabilities, they were assessing human intellectual approaches to complex problems. Every word was contributing to their final judgment about humanity's worthiness for Confederation membership. The tactical displays updated as the battle entered its second phase. Human strike groups were converging on the electromagnetic storm region, their movements coordinated through the quantum network while appearing completely random to enemy observers. Admiral Kethvar's forces were pursuing what they believed were retreating human raiders, unaware that they were being drawn into carefully prepared positions. "Your ships are leading the enemy toward a region of maximum interference," Thexnara observed. "From a conventional perspective, this appears tactically disadvantageous. Most species would avoid areas where sensor capability is compromised." William nodded. Human military philosophy emphasizes turning disadvantages into advantages. Our forces are equipped with sensor modifications that function effectively in high-interference environments. What appears to be a weakness becomes a strength when properly exploited. The first elements of Admiral Kethvar's consolidated fleet reached the storm region, and the character of the battle immediately changed. Human ships that had appeared to be retreating suddenly revealed themselves in positions that conventional sensors could not detect. The electromagnetic storms that disrupted enemy targeting systems had no effect on human weapons, which used targeting solutions calculated through the distributed sensor network. The engagement that followed demonstrated the difference between Confederation tactics and human innovation. While Korthak ships struggled to maintain formation in an environment that disrupted their coordination systems, human vessels operated with seamless efficiency. Each ship knew the exact position and status of every other human vessel, while enemy forces found themselves fighting blind against opponents who seemed to appear and disappear at will. Fascinating, Thexnara murmured, his voice carrying undertones that William had learned to recognize as genuine interest. Your species has developed methods that exploit environmental conditions rather than attempting to overcome them. This suggests a level of adaptive thinking that we have not observed among recent Confederation applicants. On the tactical display, Admiral Kethvar's flagship Bloodfist was broadcasting urgent signals to the other pirate fleets in the nebula. The Korthak commander had realized that his forces were facing tactics unlike anything in Confederation military doctrine. Instead of the predictable advance and engagement patterns that allowed experienced commanders to deploy their superior numbers effectively, human ships were using the nebula itself as a weapon. Admiral Kethvar is requesting immediate support from his allies, Kate observed, monitoring the intercepted communications. He's describing human tactics as unprecedented and contrary to established military principles. William felt a surge of pride mixed with apprehension. Sarah's fleet was succeeding beyond their most optimistic projections, but the real test would come when all three enemy fleets consolidated their forces. Over 100 ships commanded by experienced officers who now understood that they faced an opponent unlike any they had encountered before. A holographic display updated as new contacts appeared on the sensors. The Zelanian pirate fleet was approaching from the nebula's trailing edge, their stealth-equipped ships moving with the predatory grace that had made them successful raiders. Behind them, the third pirate fleet, still unidentified but clearly following Confederation military protocols, was advancing with the methodical precision of professional naval officers. Your admiral faces a critical decision point, Thexnara announced. She can continue her current tactics against superior numbers, or withdraw while her forces remain intact. From a Confederation military perspective, withdrawal would be the logical choice. William met the Zephyrian counselor's gaze directly. Admiral Chen will not withdraw. Human military tradition emphasizes achieving objectives regardless of odds. She has 72 hours to eliminate the pirate threat, and she will use every one of those hours to complete her mission. As if summoned by his words, Admiral Chen's voice crackled through the communication system, transmitted from her flagship deep within the electromagnetic storm. Her words carried the calm confidence of a commander who had found her element. All human forces, this is Admiral Chen. Enemy reinforcements are approaching our position. We have successfully demonstrated that human tactics can neutralize superior numbers under these conditions. Now we prove that human determination can achieve victory against impossible odds. All ships, prepare for final engagement. Show them what humanity means. The tactical display exploded into motion as over 160 ships converged on a region of space where conventional military wisdom said no fleet could operate effectively. The convergence of three pirate fleets in the Kethmori Nebula's storm region created a tactical situation that no military academy in the galaxy had ever studied. Over 100 ships from different species, operating under different command structures, attempted to coordinate their assault on 47 human vessels that seemed to exist in a state of quantum uncertainty within the electromagnetic maelstrom. Admiral Kethvar's Bloodfist served as the unofficial flagship for the Pirate Alliance, its powerful communication array struggling to maintain contact with Allied forces scattered across the turbulent region. The Korthak commander had fought in dozens of campaigns throughout his career, but nothing had prepared him for an enemy that treated the laws of tactical physics as suggestions rather than absolute constraints. Admiral, his communications officer reported, the Zelanian fleet reports multiple contacts throughout Sector 7, but their stealth sensors cannot achieve targeting locks. The unknown fleet requests permission to deploy their heavy cruisers in a direct assault formation. Keffar's forearms gestured in patterns that conveyed frustration mixed with growing respect for his opponents. The humans were operating in an environment that should have been impossible for any organized military force to navigate effectively. Yet somehow they maintained coordination while remaining invisible to conventional sensors. "Signal all fleets," he ordered. "Implement Convergence Pattern Alpha." All ships advanced simultaneously toward the last confirmed human positions. They cannot hide from concentrated firepower across the entire engagement zone. The massive pirate armada began moving, over 100 vessels advancing in a formation designed to saturate the storm region with overlapping fields of fire. It was a brute force approach that abandoned tactical subtlety in favor of overwhelming destruction. Against any conventional enemy, the tactic would have proven devastatingly effective. Aboard the human flagship Determination, Admiral Chen watched the enemy advance through sensors that provided her with a view of the battlefield that no pirate commander could match. Kate Morrison's distributed network had evolved during the engagement, learning to interpret electromagnetic phenomena that would have blinded any other technology. The result was that human forces possessed near-perfect awareness of enemy positions while remaining effectively invisible to hostile sensors. "Admiral," Torres announced, "all enemy fleets are committed to the assault. Estimated 112 vessels advancing on our position. They're using saturation tactics designed to overcome sensor limitations." Chen nodded, her expression calm despite the magnitude of the approaching threat. The enemy was doing exactly what human tactical analysis had predicted, responding to an unprecedented situation by falling back on conventional methods applied with greater intensity. It was a natural response that played directly into human strategic planning. "Signal all ships," she ordered. "Execute final protocol. All commanders are authorized to implement Doctrine 77 Alpha." Doctrine 77 Alpha was humanity's most classified tactical innovation, a set of principles that pushed human technological capabilities beyond their theoretical limits. Instead of fighting as individual ships coordinated by external command, human vessels would temporarily merge their operational systems into a single distributed intelligence that could react to changing conditions faster than any organic mind could process. Throughout the human fleet, ships began implementing Neuralink protocols that connected their AI systems through Kate's quantum network. The result was a hybrid intelligence that combined human intuition with computational processing power, creating a tactical awareness that operated at superhuman speeds while maintaining the creative unpredictability that made human warfare unique. The transformation was invisible to enemy sensors, but its effects became apparent within seconds. Human ships began moving in patterns that demonstrated impossible coordination, each vessel anticipating the actions of every other while responding to enemy movements with preternatural precision. The scattered human formation suddenly became a living weapon that adapted and evolved in real time. Aboard the Zephyrian flagship, Fexnara watched the tactical display with growing amazement. The human vessels were operating in ways that violated fundamental assumptions about military coordination and command structure. Individual ships were making autonomous decisions that somehow contributed to overall tactical coherence that no single commander could have orchestrated. "Counselor," Kate said, her voice tight with barely controlled excitement, "the human fleet is implementing a form of distributed consciousness. Each ship maintains individual autonomy while participating in a shared tactical awareness. It's an application of quantum neural networking that we've been developing for 3 years." William felt his heart racing as he watched Sarah's fleet demonstrate capabilities that even he hadn't known existed. The human ships were moving through the electromagnetic storm like a school of fish responding to predators, each individual movement contributing to a collective response that was greater than the sum of its parts. "Your species has created a form of technological telepathy," Fexnara observed, his forearms moving in gestures that conveyed profound interest. "Individual units maintaining autonomy while sharing consciousness. This represents a fundamental advancement beyond conventional military coordination." Camilla stepped forward, her diplomatic training recognizing the significance of the counselor's statement. The technology emerged from human research into neurological networks and quantum communication. "We believe it represents our species' unique contribution to galactic military science." The pirate fleet's assault reached the storm region, and the electromagnetic environment immediately began affecting their coordination. Ships that had been maintaining formation found themselves isolated as communication systems struggled with the interference. Weapon targeting became erratic as sensors provided contradictory data about enemy positions. In contrast, human ships operated with seamless efficiency. The distributed consciousness allowed them to coordinate attacks that appeared impossible to enemy observers. A destroyer would emerge from concealment to engage a pirate cruiser, only to have 3 other human vessels provide supporting fire from positions that conventional sensors couldn't detect. By the time enemy forces could respond, the human ships had vanished back into the electromagnetic chaos. Admiral Kefvar found himself fighting an enemy that seemed to possess supernatural abilities. Human ships appeared and disappeared like phantoms, striking with precision that suggested they could predict enemy movements before those movements were made. His own tactical display showed scattered contacts that appeared and disappeared without pattern, providing no basis for coordinated response. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we have lost contact with 7 ships in the last 6 minutes. Enemy fire is coming from positions that our sensors cannot verify. Recommend immediate withdrawal to clear space." Kefvar's mandibles clicked in the Korthak expression of frustrated rage. Withdrawal would mean admitting defeat to an enemy force half his size, operated by a species barely 3 centuries old in space. But continued engagement was resulting in steady losses while achieving no meaningful results against opponents who seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The decision was taken away from him as human forces shifted to active assault mode. Instead of the harassment tactics they had employed throughout the engagement, human ships began coordinating attacks designed to systematically destroy enemy vessels. The distributed consciousness allowed them to implement battle plans that unfolded across multiple dimensions of space and time, each action setting up subsequent moves in patterns that organic minds could not fully comprehend. The first target was the Zelenian stealth fleet, whose advanced concealment systems had no effect on sensors that operated through quantum-networked consciousness. Human destroyers emerged from the electromagnetic storms with precise firing solutions, their weapons targeted through calculations that incorporated gravitational effects, particle density variations, and electromagnetic field fluctuations that conventional targeting systems couldn't process. 3 Zelenian ships were destroyed in the first coordinated strike, their stealth systems providing no protection against weapons that knew their exact positions through supernatural awareness. The surviving Zelenian vessels tried to scatter, but found themselves facing human ships that anticipated their evasion patterns and positioned interceptors accordingly. "Admiral," Kefvar's communications officer announced, "the Zelenian commander is requesting immediate evacuation. They report that human forces are demonstrating targeting capabilities that exceed theoretical possibilities." Before Kefvar could respond, his own ship came under attack from directions that his sensors insisted were empty space. Human weapons fire struck the Bloodfist's shields with accuracy that suggested the attackers could see through electromagnetic interference that blinded every other technology in the galaxy. The Third Pirate Fleet, commanded by a rogue Confederation officer who had studied human tactics during previous conflicts, recognized what was happening and immediately began broadcasting surrender signals. Their commander understood that continuing the engagement would result in the complete destruction of all pirate forces without inflicting significant damage on human vessels. "Admiral," Torres reported from the Determination S tactical station, "enemy fleet commanders are broadcasting surrender requests. All 3 fleets are attempting to disengage from the combat zone." Chen felt the familiar mixture of relief and responsibility that came with tactical victory achieved against overwhelming odds. Human forces had demonstrated capabilities that would reshape galactic understanding of military possibilities, but the real measure of success would be whether these achievements translated into Confederation membership. "Accept all surrender requests," she ordered. "Signal the surviving ships to power down weapons and prepare for escort to Confederation space. And, Torres, get me a communication link to the Zephyrian flagship. I think Counselor Thexnara has seen enough." Throughout the nebula, human ships began emerging from the electromagnetic storms like hunters returning from a successful expedition. The 47 vessels showed minimal damage despite engaging over 100 enemy ships in their own chosen territory. More importantly, they had demonstrated tactical innovations that would force every military academy in the galaxy to reconsider fundamental assumptions about space warfare. As the human fleet began organizing the captured pirate vessels for transport to Confederation space, William Chen felt the weight of 3 billion human lives settling into a new configuration. Win or lose, humanity had proven that their species brought unique capabilities to the galactic community. The question was whether those capabilities would be enough to earn the respect of civilizations that measured their existence in millennia rather than centuries. The return journey to Confederation space proceeded with a solemnity that reflected the magnitude of what had occurred in the Kethmori Nebula. Admiral Chen's fleet escorted 73 captured pirate vessels while the remaining enemy ships floated as debris in the electromagnetic storms, their crews evacuated to human ships in accordance with galactic warfare conventions. The engagement had lasted 18 hours and resulted in the complete elimination of threats that had plagued Confederation shipping for over a year. Aboard the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Dominion, Thexnara stood before the assembled High Council in their primary deliberation chamber. The 7 counselors had spent the past 48 hours reviewing every aspect of the human military operation, analyzing tactical recordings and debating the implications of technologies that challenged fundamental assumptions about galactic warfare. William Chen, Kate Morrison, and Camilla Vasquez waited in the chamber's observation area, their diplomatic immunity protecting them from the intense scrutiny that would normally accompany such proceedings. Around them, the ship's AI systems processed terabytes of data from the recent engagement, creating three-dimensional models that allowed the Council to examine every detail of human tactical innovation. "The evidence before us is unprecedented," Thexnara announced, his forearms gesturing toward holographic displays showing the nebula engagement from multiple perspectives. "The humans have demonstrated military capabilities that exceed Confederation standards in several critical areas. Their distributed consciousness technology represents a fundamental advancement in tactical coordination. Their adaptive sensor systems function effectively in environments that neutralize conventional equipment. Most significantly, they achieve decisive victory against superior numbers using methods that no other species has developed." Counselor Vexandra, whose species had originated the electromagnetic warfare techniques used throughout the galaxy, stepped forward to address specific technical aspects of the human achievement. "The quantum network's sensor system demonstrates principles that our own scientists have been unable to implement effectively. The humans have solved coordination problems that we believed were theoretically impossible under combat conditions." Kate felt her scientific excitement overwhelming diplomatic caution. "Counselor, the breakthrough came from studying how human neural networks process information during crisis situations. We discovered that artificial intelligence systems could replicate certain aspects of human intuitive decision-making while maintaining computational precision. The result is a hybrid consciousness that combines organic creativity with technological capability." A third counselor, Morthax of the warrior caste, addressed the tactical implications of what they had observed. "The humans fought with methods that violated established military doctrine while achieving results that exceeded theoretical projections. They demonstrated the ability to coordinate complex operations in environments where conventional forces would be effectively blind. This suggests adaptive capabilities that could revolutionize galactic warfare." William recognized the significance of that statement. For warrior species like the Courthacks and the Zephyrians themselves, military innovation represented the highest form of intellectual achievement. The fact that humans had developed tactics that impressed professional soldiers from civilizations thousands of years old was perhaps the strongest possible recommendation for Confederation membership. Thexnara activated additional holographic displays showing the captured pirate fleets and their current status. The humans completed their mission within the specified timeframe, eliminated threats that had resisted Confederation efforts for 18 months, and captured enemy personnel for proper legal proceedings. They demonstrated both military effectiveness and adherence to galactic law regarding treatment of prisoners and civilians. Camilla stepped forward, recognizing the opportunity to address the political implications of the military success. "Counselor, humanity's goal is not to revolutionize galactic warfare, but to contribute our unique capabilities to the common defense of Confederation worlds. We believe that diversity of approach strengthens collective security more effectively than standardized doctrine." The council chamber fell silent as the 7 Zephyrian counselors began their final deliberation. The process involved complex harmonics that human ears could barely detect, a form of communication that allowed for nuanced expressions of opinion impossible in conventional language. William, Kate, and Camilla waited with the patience of people who understood that their species' future hung in the balance. Meanwhile, Admiral Chen's fleet continued its journey toward Confederation space with a cargo that represented more than captured pirates. The 73 ships they escorted included vessels from 12 different species, crews representing the diversity of the galactic rim where Confederation law struggled to maintain authority. The successful mission had demonstrated not just human military capability, but the potential for human methods to address problems that conventional approaches had failed to solve. Admiral Torres reported from his station aboard the Determination, were receiving communication requests from Confederation military commands throughout this sector. Intelligence services from 6 different species are requesting detailed briefings about our tactical methods. Chen nodded, recognizing that the political implications of their success were already rippling through galactic society. Human tactical innovations had proven effective in ways that would force military establishments throughout the Confederation to reconsider their fundamental assumptions about space warfare. "Defer all briefing requests to diplomatic channels," she ordered. "Our mission was to prove human worth to the Zephyrian Council. Whether we share our methods with other Confederation species will depend on the Council's decision regarding our membership status." Back aboard the Zephyrian flagship, the High Council's deliberation reached its conclusion. Thexnara turned toward the three human representatives, his massive form radiating the authority that came from 4,000 years of galactic leadership. "The Council has reached consensus regarding humanity's application for full Confederation membership," he announced. "The humans have demonstrated capabilities that exceed our initial expectations. Your tactical innovations represent genuine contributions to galactic defense. Your adherence to Confederation law during military operations demonstrates commitment to the principles that govern our civilization." William felt his heart racing as he prepared to hear the judgment that would determine whether humanity took its place among the galactic community or faced permanent isolation. "However," Thexnara continued, "the Council must address concerns that arise from the very success of your demonstration. The technologies you have developed, particularly the distributed consciousness system, represent capabilities that could destabilize existing military balances if deployed irresponsibly. Your species' rapid advancement from single-system civilization to Confederation candidate has occurred faster than any previous example in galactic history." Kate stepped forward, her scientific training helping her recognize the underlying concerns. "Counselor, humanity understands that advanced capabilities require responsible application. We are prepared to work with Confederation authorities to establish protocols that ensure our technologies contribute to collective security rather than creating new threats." Camilla added the diplomatic perspective that recognized the delicate balance of galactic politics. "Humanity seeks membership not to dominate other species, but to participate as equals in the galactic community. We believe our innovations are most valuable when shared with allies who can adapt them to their own requirements." Thexnara's forearms moved in patterns that conveyed careful consideration of their responses. "The Council recognizes that humanity's rapid development creates both opportunities and challenges for the Confederation. Your species demonstrates creativity and adaptability that could benefit all member worlds. However, your methods of problem-solving often involve approaches that other species consider dangerous or unpredictable." William understood the implicit question behind the Councilor's statement. The Zephyrians were asking whether humanity could be trusted to use their capabilities responsibly, whether human unpredictability would strengthen or destabilize galactic civilization. "Counselor," he said, drawing on diplomatic training and personal conviction, "humanity has always faced challenges that required unconventional solutions. Our history is one of species that survives by adapting to impossible circumstances. We do not seek to impose our methods on others, but to contribute our unique perspective to problems that conventional approaches cannot solve." The Council chamber's lighting shifted as the ship's AI registered elevated stress levels among all occupants. This moment would determine not just humanity's political status, but the direction of galactic civilization for generations to come. Thexnara raised all four arms in the gesture that preceded formal pronouncements of the Zephyrian High Council. "The Council grants humanity full membership in the Galactic Confederation, with all rights and responsibilities that accompany such status. Your species has proven its worth through demonstrated capability and commitment to Confederation principles. However, this membership comes with specific conditions designed to ensure that human innovations contribute to collective prosperity rather than creating instability." William felt relief flooding through him, but Thexnara's continued words reminded him that true success would require ongoing effort. "Humanity will establish a joint research initiative with Confederation scientists to study the applications of your tactical innovations. Your military forces will participate in Confederation defense operations to demonstrate the practical benefits of your methods. Most importantly, human leaders will work with the Council to develop protocols that ensure your species' continued development benefits the entire galactic community." As the formal pronouncement concluded, William realized that humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had earned membership not through gradual integration over centuries, but by demonstrating capabilities that existing members could not ignore. The real challenge would be living up to the trust that the Zephyrian Council had placed in their species. Kate activated her personal communicator, establishing a quantum encrypted link to Admiral Chen's flagship. Admiral, you can tell the fleet that we're going home as full members of the Galactic Confederation. Humanity has officially taken its place among the stars. The response came through clearly despite the distance, Admiral Chen's voice carrying the satisfaction of a mission accomplished against impossible odds. Understood. Signal all ships, mission complete. The human fleet returns to Confederation space with our species' future secure among the stars. As the combined fleet continued its journey toward the Confederation's core worlds, the three human diplomats stood before the viewing portal, watching stars whirl past in patterns that now included humanity among the great civilizations of the galaxy. They had proven that human determination, creativity, and willingness to attempt the impossible could earn respect from species whose civilizations measured their age in millennia. More importantly, they had demonstrated that humanity's greatest strength lay not in conforming to galactic standards, but in contributing uniquely human solutions to challenges that conventional wisdom could not address. The future would bring new tests, new opportunities to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. But, for now, 3 billion humans could look up at the night sky knowing that their species had claimed its destiny among the infinite possibilities of the galaxy.